So I guess today I had decided I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about kind of what it's like to live the van life in an urban setting in the city, and just kind of a general idea, how I'm living, what it looks like inside my van, the general setup. A lot of people are asking me, what's it look like inside? Do you have a bed? How do you sleep at night? Simple little things like that most people, take for granted when you're in the sticks and bricks. But when you're in a van, things are a little bit more tight spaced. You have little space to work with, so you kind of come up with solutions. And for me personally, this is my second van that I have lived out of. It's only partially converted. I never finished the project on this one due to circumstances in my life and, just the cost, everything that was adding up at the time. Before, I did have a van that I fully converted. I completely gutted the whole inside of it, re-insulated it, re-walled it, floored it, ceiling. I built myself a kitchen caddy with a gravity-fed sink that I was going to actually hook to an electric pump when I got my electrical. The last thing I had to do on that van was get my electrical installed, and I would have been fully converted and way to go. But that van's engine blew, and I ended up getting into this van. I never did get a full, complete conversion out of it. I ran out of time, I ran out of money, it got cold, and when you're living out of it and you have to move everything in and out as you're building, and you have no safe spot to park, you're in a parking lot or someplace like that, it can be a lot harder to work with. So anyway, I've been doing the van life for almost 3 years, a little over 2.5 years. So I've gotten experience, some of the weather, how it is to live out of a van in weather, extreme weather, especially in something that's not so much converted as a lot of people have out there. It gets hot in here. In the summertime, it gets really hot. You have to have some kind of air circulation, shade, stuff like that if you don't have air conditioning. In the wintertime, I got a Mr. Buddy heater that I will fire up and crack my window for ventilation, but it will heat it up in here quite quickly. After it warms up, I'll usually keep the pilot light on. But anyway, the reason I moved into a van, I decided to go ahead and do this life. I didn't know where my life was going. I had no direction. Like most people in society, you're working, you're paying your bills, struggling to feed yourself, your kids, your family, whatever. Sometimes it can get pretty rough. For me in my life, it was a struggle day in, day out, year after year. There was never getting ahead. There was never even finding stable ground. It was constant work. I did retail for a long time, where it drains you, especially when you have social anxiety like me. It's one of those things that can really take a toll on you. It's one of those things that makes you or breaks you. And I did it for a long time, 13 years in retail management, and it really just isn't my place. I left that. It was kind of a spur of the moment. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was at a give up point. So I quit my job. I got rid of all my stuff and termed the lease on my apartment. It was just too expensive, living, and especially in the Denver metro area, where it's one of the top most expensive cities out there. I mean, you can put it on the top 20 cities in the United States. It's pretty expensive here. Things are not easy. A lot of times it's by circumstance. You just can no longer afford to do it, so you move into a vehicle and you kind of figure out how to wing it. For me, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was at the end of my rope. I quit everything. I had no job. I was looking for work, but I didn't want to get back into retail. So I was looking for some work, and I discovered the van life. Not so much the van life, but living out of RV over the road. I was, kind of browsing through YouTube, and, I was kind of fond of the off-grid living, and, had done a lot of research into, how to live a sustainable life off-grid, and thought about buying some land and building off of that and figuring out how I can do an off-grid lifestyle that way. Unfortunately, when you don't have a job, it's just pipe dreams. You're looking through the window. That's all you're seeing. I eventually did get a job. I started working landscape construction, which was mostly a seasonal job. I'd work about 9 months out of the year and then have 3 months off. It is a pretty decent paid job, and I get seasonal work. I love my job. My boss is great. I ended up buying myself a van. The way I discovered it, I was on YouTube, and I ran across an RVer who has a channel, and it was a very emotional video, and I was instantly drawn to it. I started thinking about, well, how is it that, people are living out of RVs? So I started kind of researching. It ran across a lot of channels, a lot of, how-tos, do's and don'ts, things like that. And I actually started researching it while I worked landscape construction. I had a lease on a car. It was a 2014 Honda CR-V. And I was kind of hoping that I'd be able to use it as a tote for the RV life. Did the research. I lost the car. And it was right when I was going to pay it, get it all caught up and paid. They decided to put a repo out there, and I lost it. I took it as an opportunity, so I got myself my first van. The first van was a 97 GMC Safari. The name was Safari Ed. Now, the previous owners who owned this van, they named it Safari Ed, and it kind of stuck with me. It was already partially gutted. And so I took it as this is going to be a great project for me. So I went ahead, bought the van up, finished gutting it, cleaned it up, and started building it. I spent a lot of time building this van. The van was nearly complete. I just needed to get the electrical. It was just a matter of getting that paycheck. So early June, I decided, well, I'm going to go ahead and take the van on the road. Everything about it was great. I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed that it could take me places. I enjoyed that I had the freedom and the financial freedom to actually explore life for the first time in my life. All I did was struggle to work, pay my bills, and feed myself. My entire adult life, I had nowhere, no place. I was dragged through the mud the whole way by society. And that's when I gave it up. I moved into the van and found this is what I love. Unfortunately, Safari Ed blew his head. He blew a head gasket. Most likely, engine block was cracked. I was at a point where I don't know what to do. I had to get a new van, so I got this one, a 97 Ford Aerostar. It was not gutted by all means. It was still pretty nice interior. That's kind of where things went real bad for me for a time. It was a rough struggle. I lost everything I had planned for, worked for. It just went down the drain like that. But the reason I decided to do the van life is because of the freedom. I can pick and choose my neighbors. I can go where I feel like I want to sleep at night. And I do a lot of urban camping. I do work full-time hours out of the Denver metro area. Camping and dispersed camping and stuff like that is at, usually a minimum of an hour to an hour and a half out. You're not going to find much close to the city. There are a couple campgrounds, but they are pricey and usually overbooked. I do a lot of, parking lot camping. I wally dock. I do it outside of my gyms and other gyms and, other big shopping centers where I could get away with it without harassment and where I feel safe to do it. I do spend a lot of time in the city. You know, unfortunately, it's what you got to do to make that money. If you're going to go on those adventures, it costs money. If you're going to keep up on the maintenance, it's going to cost money. The gas, you know, it's not free unless you have, you know, remote job or something where you're pulling in money, you know, consistently. Being over the road, it can be rough unless you already have money. So, you know, for me, I have to work, and, you know, I keep up my bills. I put some money aside, and then I go out there. Right now, I'm looking at a big trip coming up. This year, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to make it to the RTR, the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous, down in Quartzsite, Arizona. I've never attempted this before. I have planned for 2 previous trips that would have taken me on path, en route to it, but unfortunately, both of those trips fell through. I kind of got myself worked out to where I think I should be able to make it out there. I'll have 5 months. 5 months, I won't have any work and very little money to make this happen. It is a big plan to go out there. I've been trying to get things a little bit more organized inside the van for this trip. One thing about traveling, if you don't have everything tied down, you know, it's going to go everywhere. Organization in such a small place is not that easy. I mean, it can be done. I mean, don't get me wrong. I did a slap job build of my van, and, you know, I'm going to go ahead and give a little bit of a tour of it. There's not much to see. It's not much in here. I got it comfortable for me, and I got it organized to where I have access to get to the things I need. So I'll kind of do a little bit of a video running through the van and show you kind of what that's about. I'm going to do a quick pan around of the inside of my van. It's going to be a little bit of a tight space for me to do this in, but I'm going to do it without going outside as best I can while I'm sitting inside. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick tour of what it looks like inside my van. From the front seat of the van, you can see right behind the driver's side seat, it's a 6-foot long bed. So from the back of the seat all the way to the back of the van there is 6 feet long. So I do have a 6-foot bed. It does pull out to a full. What it is it was kind of a slap job. It's a slat slide out couch bed that I had built. Well, I just keep it pulled out about 36 inches by the 72 inches. It does pull all the way out to the shelves. Now, on the side of that, I had built some shelves in over here where I got some, you know, storage space. That's basically where I keep all my food, on the side there. Just behind that, you know, I got bungees. Everything is bungeed down, so it's not sliding around all over the place all the time when I'm driving. I got my guitar case. I usually keep it, you know, tucked in the sliding door, and got my Mr. Buddy heater there. I put that down on a little piece of plywood, which is on top of my carpet. I have just a little carpet mat that, you know, I like to go barefoot in here where I'm not cutting myself on or splintering myself on the floor down there. And that's just basic underlinement floorboard. That's all it is, with insulation and carpet padding under it. Looking towards the back, I did scrap together some wood and made myself a shelf back there. So up on top of my shelf, I keep all my clothes. Now, I do have a lot of clothes for a typical van dweller, and the reason is because of my job. Landscape construction is a very dirty job, and wearing the clothes twice in a row can not be very comfortable for anybody involved. So I do have quite a bit of clothes that I'll keep on that back shelf there. So everything I need right there. I have a couple backpacks. One is kind of tucked in the corner back there. I use that as my battery charge station. Inside there, I do have a power strip, and I'll put my electronics on that and go into a Starbucks or, you know, Barnes and Noble or something like that, sit down and just relax and, you know, charge some of my stuff. Most of the things that I use are charged from inside my van. But anyway, I did put in my own ceiling. I got some lights little light there as well. Did the flooring. It is insulated down below, and I was gonna do some tongue to groove floorboards like I did in my last van. It just never happened. This is kind of where it left. It's been doable, and I just put in that little carpet padding there, just so I have a little bit of comfort when I'm sitting in here. Down below, I also have some storage space down here. I usually, keep some of the random things I don't need right off the bat. I don't need easy access to. I got a lot of tools down there, and my cooler, and some other various things that I keep in stock inside here. But I don't need all the access to that. Now, under the bed, when I built this bed, I did build it around the storage. I keep a lot of blankets that hang down, and the reason is because it helps insulate it, and a lot of cold air will settle down there. So if I have any refrigerated food and I just need to keep it, cold enough that it's going to stay good, I will stick it down in there. It keeps it nice and cold. I try to keep it as organized as possible in here. It's not always easy. It's one of those things, if you're not constantly cleaning, it will get messy fast. Everything goes everywhere. It's hard to keep it organized. Trick is if you pull it out, put it back. Kind of like if you're camping, pack it in, pack it out. Just be aware that it's a constant battle. You're always moving around and doing that kind of stuff. Anyway, behind the driver's side seat, I just kind of put together, it's held by bungee cords. It was only supposed to be a temporary solution. But what I did is I got some shoe holders, closet shoe holders that you can hang from your closet. And I cut them down just to hang it from the backs of the seats. So I have all these compartments down there that I can use, to put all kinds of things in there. So I keep bug sprays and maps and my coffee stuff, and just all kinds of random stuff organized in that, so it's not rolling around everywhere back here. So one of the tricks is, when you are an urban camper, you want to be as stealth as possible. You don't want to be looking like you're living out of the vehicle. Now, given living out of the vehicle, and especially when you're trying to hide it, you kind of stand out. When I am in here at nighttime, I do have the lights on. So when it's dark outside and light in here, people can see in. So what I do, behind me, you can see I have some blackout curtains. Now, I didn't do any hanger rods on this side. I didn't think I would ever need access to it. It wasn't the original plans to do so. But all I did was basically just staple all these up, to the ceiling, to the board. So these basically will block out my windows back here. I have it open back here, but once I close it, they hang in front of each other, and it blocks out all the light from going out and blocks all the light coming in. When I have all the curtains drawn, it is pitch black in here. Basically, so I have my curtains, and they, slide open and close pretty easy. I have a clip up there to hold it open, but, as you can see, it's just easy access to open the windows. I keep the back two windows. I do have some back two windows back here. I keep those pretty much covered. Basically, it's 1/2-inch pink with Reflectix on the outside. It helps kind of keep it, a little bit warmer in here in the wintertime. And I usually just keep those pretty much up all the time. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. I mean, I've done my coffee talk where I show my inverter, how I hook up electricity in my van through my van battery. So I don't have any restroom in here. I don't have a bathroom. I don't have a shower in here. I do have a gym membership through Planet Fitness, where I go and take my showers. Restrooms, pretty much anywhere I have access to, I'll use the restrooms there. I did have a solar shower in here for a while. For about 6 months doing the van life, I did shower publicly outside. With my first van, I had in the back, I had the top hatchback with the 2 bottom barn doors, and I used to just cover that with a tarp and use the solar shower out there. And it didn't matter where I was. Most people couldn't see me anyway. So I just freely showered wherever I felt like parking and doing my thing. But it was a lot more hassle, a lot of work to set up for a shower every day, and getting that water warm if you want warm water. And, you know, I used to boil the water and get it warm. And, you know, eventually I broke down and got the gym membership, and it's worth the money. If you're going to be doing this life, have a gym membership, you know, get the complete package if you're traveling around, so you can go to the multiple locations, not just the home store. And, you know, it makes a difference. Being clean on the road, it makes a difference. I am a clean person. I like to keep clean, and, you know, if I have to, rivers, waterfalls, you know, a gas station sink, you know, I'll figure a way to clean myself. But yeah, it's pretty simple in here. The front, I'd show you the front, but it's a lot of my hobby stuff out. They're out of storage, and things are just kind of all over the place. So it's a little bit messier and more cluttered up there. And realistically, when you're in a van, that's what you're going to be dealing with, is clutter. It's hard to keep everything cleaned up all the time. And if you slack off for one moment, that's all it takes. And it gets very messy very quick. You can spend all your time and money building, converting, and all that fun stuff, and it's fun. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed doing it. Even when I stuck a self-tapping screw straight through my thumb. Yeah, it did happen. You could end up spending all your time constantly trying to make it work, and it takes away the time from you actually living it. So, I mean, there's always going to be trial and error. It's one of those things. It's a learning process. It's not like the sticks and bricks. Things are different. Everything is different. Routines change. If your routines don't change, you're going to find that you don't like it. It's a whole different lifestyle. I mean, that's something you got to keep in mind. If you ever do the van life, be aware of how it's going to be out there. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of hiccups along the road, and, you know, everybody's got good insight onto it, but everybody's going to learn something different. That's just how this lifestyle is. That's basically what it looks like inside my van. Yeah, I mean, it's all about stealth. Make sure you're comfortable doing it if you're going to do it. Have everything organized and easy access. You will find that it gets frustrating fast if you don't have easy access. You know, it's constantly digging things out if not. Yeah, this is van life. On a day off with nothing to do, you know, just get things organized and, you know, kick back and relax. But anyway, we'll go ahead and talk later, and we'll go ahead and see you on the next adventure. Hopefully the next adventure will be a good one. If not, stay tuned for the RTR. I will be making a long trip to the RTR. There could be trial and error. There could be problems. It could be smooth going. Don't know what I'm up against. I've never been there. I've never been through this. So stay tuned, and hopefully you're rooting me on, because this is going to be biggest step I've ever taken. Anyway, we'll talk later. Have a good day.